Good afternoon, good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as JRC, but before we do the usual disclaimers, if you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC so called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, folks, NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill. Please read the article, share on all your social media. Also included is NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever actually does see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to use your headphones. Trigger warning 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they're watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised. So, where we left off, now that we're finally getting to the end of this thing here. Section 202A of the Unfunded Mandates Reform Act of 1995 requires us to prepare a written statement which includes an assessment of anticipated costs and benefits before issuing any rule that includes any federal mandate that may result in expenditure by the state, local, and tribal governments in the aggregate or the private sector of, oh my God, I'll never see that kind of money. $100 million or more, adjusted annually for inflation in any one year. In other words, they have to kind of give them what's this going to cost to transition these kids off of the device, and then they have to provide that to the JRC. Not that I care. They caused the situation, so you have to forgive me if I don't feel any form of sympathy in regards to whatever costs they accrued because of their own barbarity. But by law, like the FDA is stating here, they're required to mention it. I'm reading over it, even though you're probably like, what does that have to do with the price of eggs? Because we know later down the line, when the proposed ban that's new begins to go forward, we're probably going to be hearing complaints about it. And I like to cover all bases before that happens. So here's your receipts right here, folks. The FDA did indeed make sure to send them what it's going to be possibly looking like in expenditures to transition them off of the device. The current threshold after adjustment for inflation is 154 million, using the most current 2018 implicit price deflator for the gross domestic product. This final rule would not result in an expenditure in any year that meets or exceeds this amount. Under this final rule, we are banning ESDs for SIB or AB. Non-quantified benefits of the final rule include a reduction in adverse events, such as risk of burns, PTSD, and other physical or psychological harms related to the use of the device in this patient population. So, in other words, we're going to work with you in regards to the cost, but we are banning the device. Unfortunately, they could never seem to find it within themselves to enforce that ban. So the shocks continued all the way up until this ban was overturned, and it's still being used now, or we wouldn't be here. And I'd be sticking it to the ABA corporate bastards. You're all next. Yeah, I'll go Missouri. I don't care. We expect that the final rule will only affect one entity that currently uses these devices on residents of its facility. Considering the fact that the ones who actually manufacture the device and the only folks that actually use it, yeah, the only people who this is going to cost them money is the JRC. Again, forgive me while I play the world's smallest violin for them. How awful. I don't feel sorry for them at all. Not even remotely. The final rule will impose costs on this entity to read and understand the rule as well as to provide affected individuals with alternative treatments. Although uncertain, other treatments or care at other facilities may cost more than the current treatment with the banned device. In other words, for those kids you now can't treat because they're no longer on your shock device, because of that, guess who gets to fork the money over to get them into those programs? I like it. I like it a lot. Unfortunately, it never happened. But yeah, that's pretty much what that means here. I also like the fact that they are insisting on alternative treatments, also known as literally what everybody else does. To account for this uncertainty, we use a range of potential alternative treatment costs. At the lower bound, we assume the alternative treatments could cost the same as the current treatment. We use reimbursement data from the state of Massachusetts to estimate a potential upper bound for alternative treatments. The cost for the one affected entity to read and understand the rule range from around $1,200 to $5,200. The present value of the incremental treatment costs over 10 years ranges from 0 to 44 million, with a primary estimate of 22 million at a 3% discount rate, and from 0 to 38 million with a primary estimate of 18.8 million at a 7% discount rate. Annualized costs range from 0 million to 5.0 million with a primary estimate of 2.5 million at a 3% discount rate, and from 0 million to 5.0 million with primary estimate 2.5 million at a 7% discount rate. The lower bound cost estimate only include administrative costs to read and understand the rule with no incremental cost for the alternative treatments. In other words, we're going to try to make these transitions into sane programs as economical as humanly possible. Additionally, there would be transfer payments between 14 million and 15 million annually, either within the affected entity to treat the same individuals using alternative treatments, or between entities if affected individuals transfer to alternative facilities for treatment. The final rules, costs, and benefits are summarized in Table 1. There we go, folks. That's pretty cut and dry here. So when I go ahead and get into the new proposed ban, and while we play this same rodeo again, the JRC cannot now turn around and say, but you don't care about the costs and you gave us nothing because, well, we're reading it now. It's pretty straightforward. The FDA is giving the JRC what the costs are going to look like, what can and cannot be done for them in regards to their potential losses transitioning kids off of that device. So they can't go back crying wolf, so to speak, right? That's what all of this we're reading for is here for. Because the JRC, as we all know, likes to punch holes through things. Which is why I'm still pissed you didn't just name the device FDA that you're wanting to ban so that the JRC could drag every single other electrical device, skin shock or ECT, into this conversation. But here we are, right? That's about as straightforward here as it gets, right? All right, now I know this is not my usual ranting or going into what this type of treatment and what these programs are like. We've kind of gone past all of that. We're getting towards the very bottom of this. And unfortunately for you all, I insist that we read all of it because I know the games that the JRC like to play and are about to play again. So it is here for argument's sake. All right. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close out here, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do tend to get removed from time to time. You know the drill. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please don't forget to hit the comments. I appreciate your time. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Once again, I'll see you here in a few minutes. Bye-bye, everyone.